Her name was Jenna Carson, senior marketing strategist at Alder and Locke, the kind of woman who made a room tilt in her direction when she walked in. Blazer sharp, voice louder than it needed to be, always interrupting, always commanding, the kind who took credit for team efforts and never remembered your name if she didn't need to. She never remembered mine. I was the IT guy. Well, just the tech guy, if you ask Jenna. Every time there was a glitch in her slide deck, a forgotten password, a corrupted file, she'd call me over with a sigh, like I was the one who caused the problem. Ben, right? Can you just fix this, whatever it is? She didn't even look at me half the time, too busy scrolling her phone or barking into it. Her emails were worse. No please, no thank you, just tasks thrown at me like I was a machine. And I did fix her messes, quietly, quickly, competently. Because that's what I did. For everyone. But she never said thanks, never gave credit. When the CEO praised the seamless launch of our digital campaign, Jenna smiled like she'd built the whole back end with her bare hands. I used to think it didn't bother me. I used to lie to myself that I didn't care. But then one day, during a project meeting, Jenna rolled her eyes when I spoke. I had pointed out a data breach risk in one of the external vendors she pushed for. "Relax, Ben. You're just the tech guy. Let us handle the real decisions," she said. The room laughed, not cruelly, but they laughed. Like I was being dramatic. Like I wasn't worth a second thought. Something in me cracked that day. Not with rage, not with some impulsive thirst for revenge. It was quieter than that. A slow, sinking realization that I would never get respect from people like her by doing the right thing. No one sees the guy holding the scaffolding until the whole building collapses. So I started watching. Not her exactly, her systems. Every time she submitted a ticket, I got a peek into her work life. Her weak passwords, reused across platforms. Her Dropbox full of half-finished decks and confidential client presentations. Her Instagram login stored in plain text in a note called, "Do not forget." Her Slack DMs with her assistant, full of gossip and cruel jokes about coworkers, some of which I saved. I didn't hack her, not really. She left the keys in the ignition. I just memorized the roads. Over months, I built quiet access. Nothing flashy. I wrote little scripts, custom backdoors that gave me visibility without raising alarms. I watched her rise. I watched her build this flawless digital image of success, of expertise, of being in control. Her website grew. Her personal brand exploded. She even landed a podcast. Digital Queen Jenna, sponsors, partnerships, appearances, all built on the infrastructure I maintained. All guarded by systems I monitored. All dependent on tech she didn't understand. And then came the perfect storm. One morning, her entire website redirected to a dead Russian domain. Her Instagram was suddenly posting crypto spam. Her Google Drive emptied itself in minutes. Files vanished. Email contacts scrambled. The digital queen had gone dark. I got the call within the hour. Her voice was different. No arrogance. Just panic. "Ben, something's wrong. Everything is gone. I can't log in. I need help." I paused, let her sweat for a few seconds, then answered. "I thought I was just the tech guy." There was silence, then a stumble of words. "I didn't mean, can you please just look at it? I'll pay whatever your rate is." And just like that, everything shifted. I told her I'd take a look, but I was freelance now. I gave her a rate 5 times my old salary. She didn't hesitate. I fixed just enough, got her website back online, recovered a portion of her drive, made it seem like I performed a miracle. She thanked me this time, profusely. Then 2 weeks later, something else went wrong. Her Zoom account sent out phishing links. Her podcast RSS feed got corrupted. Her saved media files scrambled. I got another call. "Ben, please. I think it's happening again." I told her I could fix it for a fee. Now she pays me weekly, sometimes more, depending on the disaster. I always leave a breadcrumb or two behind, some small thing I can trigger later. Sometimes I make it look like sabotage from a jealous competitor, sometimes a glitch. Sometimes I let her think she fixed it herself, only to crash it again. She calls me now, with respect, with gratitude, like I'm her savior, because I hold every backdoor key to her digital life, every account, every folder, every forgotten setting. Jenna Carson once rolled her eyes at me in front of an entire room. Now she begs. And this is only the beginning. It didn't take long before Jenna's panic became routine. The first few times she was frantic, calling, texting, even emailing at all hours like her life depended on it. Because to her, it did. Her image, her brand, her identity were digital constructs built on fragile systems she never understood. And now those systems were turning on her, bit by bit by bit. She never suspected me. She thought I was her knight in denim and coffee breath, sweeping in to save her from the digital chaos that seemed to stalk her. She praised me now, called me a genius and a lifesaver in public. I even saw a LinkedIn post once where she tagged me with a glowing shout-out. Funny, that didn't cost her anything. The real payments came via Zelle. Thousands at a time, urgent transfers labeled consulting. What she didn't know was that every crisis was mine to orchestrate. I controlled the frequency. I controlled the depth. I could make it look like her accounts were hacked by sophisticated foreign bots. I could scramble code, shift file paths, make her Google Docs self-hem it, then reappear with corrupted formatting. Once, I made her Squarespace site load with a slow zoom into a black screen. Then a white text message appeared. Your kingdom is robbed. That one got me an extra $500.00 bonus. She called it artful. But not everything I did was just digital chaos. I was patient. I waited until she trusted me more than anyone else. Then I started peeling back her layers. I read every message she sent to her assistant, Chelsea. Every cruel insult, every manipulative ploy. The way she pitted interns against each other, then laughed about the fallout. I found her voice notes, drunken rants saved in her iCloud. One in particular stuck with me. She was laughing about a girl she fired for dressing like a cheap knockoff, then bragging about stealing her ideas and pitching them to a client. That girl had cried when she left. I remembered her name, Megan, a junior copywriter who worked late, always smiled, always tried. Jenna had gutted her without blinking. I didn't delete the voice note. I archived it, sorted and labeled it with others. I built a catalog of her rot. I kept her secrets more neatly than she did. Not to blackmail her, no, that would be obvious, clumsy. I wanted her to pay slowly, through paranoia and dependence. But I didn't stop there. I leaked a draft version of her personal rebrand strategy to a competitor. Not the final version, no, just enough to spook her when they launched a nearly identical campaign 2 weeks before hers. She called me that morning, her voice brittle and trembling. Someone's stolen my concept. The name, the layout, everything. How the hell does that happen? I told her I'd look into it. I told her these things happened sometimes, that the digital world was full of leaks and shadows. She believed me. She always did. Then came the charity gala. She was hosting. Prescott was invited. Her big redemption moment after months of technical setbacks. She hired a digital artist to project an animated video montage of her career achievements. I was asked to ensure it ran smoothly. I switched the files 5 minutes before showtime. The montage started as expected. Music, glamour shots, client quotes. Then the screen went black, and a single line appeared. Behind every queen is a throne of stolen bones. Then came screenshots. Redacted DMs, audio snippets from voice notes, timelines of Jenna's backstabbing glory. Gasps filled the room. She froze. I watched her from the control booth. She didn't scream. She didn't move, she just crumbled, pixel by pixel, in front of the same people who once toasted her. She pulled the plug, of course, claimed it was a hack, hired a forensic security team. I left no trace. That night, she didn't call me. She showed up at my apartment. She was shaking, mascara streaked, voice raw. I need you to fix this. Please, you're the only one I trust. I let her in, made her tea, sat across from her while she cried into her hands. I should have felt something, pity maybe, satisfaction. But all I felt was silence. The kind of silence you get used to when you're ignored long enough. She paid me double that night. I pretended to work through the night on her systems while she slept curled on my couch. In the morning, I told her I stopped the breach, that it wouldn't happen again. She hugged me, and I smiled, because this was no longer about respect. It was about ownership. She once called me just the tech guy. Now I was the architect of her survival, and she had no idea how deep I could dig. After the gala, Jenna stopped talking to anyone about what happened. The narrative she pushed was that it was a sophisticated hack, an orchestrated digital attack by jealous rivals. She hired a new PR firm, doubled down on cybersecurity, and changed every password, except the ones I let her think she changed. What she didn't know was that her new passwords were still mine. I rigged her password manager, reinstalled keyloggers, buried access points inside her recovery settings. No one could clean me out, not unless they burned her whole world down. She was infected at the root. Still, she tried to move forward. She started working with a new influencer agency, more polished, more corporate. She cut off old collaborators and even ghosted Chelsea, her longtime assistant, who had been loyal through every meltdown. One day, Chelsea messaged her, begging for an explanation, saying she needed the job. Jenna didn't respond. She archived the chat, then posted a quote on her Instagram story. Sometimes growth means leaving people behind. I watched her reinvent herself again. Her new content was all about resilience, mental health, bouncing back. She wrote blog posts about betrayal, posted soft-lit photos of her meditating, with captions like, "You can't break what's already reborn." The hypocrisy made me sick. So I decided to peel back another layer. Jenna had a hidden folder in her cloud storage, buried in metadata and mislabeled archives. It was a vault of candid photos, rough ideas, screenshots of other creators' content. She had been stealing from smaller influencers for years, lifting captions, layouts, even entire video concepts. She tweaked them just enough to make them seem original, then posted them like revelations. I picked 5 of her worst thefts, found the original creators. Most were nobodies. A struggling fitness coach, a young mom with a skincare blog, a queer artist with a mental health podcast. I sent them anonymous tips, links, side-by-side comparisons, time-stamped proof, and they lit her up. Posts went viral. Threads exploded on Twitter. Accusations, receipts, demands for accountability. The artist posted a tearful video saying Jenna had stolen a story about her suicide attempt and turned it into branded content for a meditation app. That hit hard. The pressure mounted fast. Brands pulled out. Her podcast sponsor vanished overnight. Comments flooded every platform she had. Even her fans turned. She couldn't post without getting dragged. Jenna tried to control the narrative, but her apologies came off hollow. Too polished. Too late. She called me at 2 a.m. one night, her voice hollow. "I think it's all over. I think I'm done." I told her I could help again, but it would cost more. Not money this time. Access. I wanted her full trust. Full control of her digital infrastructure, her site, her accounts, her storage. I told her it was the only way to rebuild from the ashes. She agreed. Desperation made her obedient. The next day she sent over full admin credentials. I became the true architect of her life. I built a new site for her, helped her draft a public statement, manage the flood of messages, Slowly, the fire died down. Not completely, but enough. Enough to let her breathe again. She never asked how I fixed it. She didn't want to know. But I knew something was shifting. She was quieter now. Nervous. Less certain in her voice. She asked before assuming. She listened when I spoke. Her emails came with thank yous now. She started copying me on bigger decisions. Called me partner once on a call. I think she thought we were equals now. But we weren't, because she still didn't know what I was doing behind the scenes. Her texts to her new agency, I read them before she did. Her drafts for comeback campaigns, I edited them silently, shaping her tone. Her audience analytics, faked, skewed to direct her in the directions I wanted her to go. I shaped her like clay, made her say what I wanted, in the way I wanted, to the people I wanted her to impress. Jenna thought she was rebuilding, but I was replacing every brick. One day she called and asked if I'd ever consider coming on full-time. She said she trusted me more than anyone. Orbiters laughed. Instead, I asked for even more control, said I'd only work under my terms. I wanted a contract, equity in her brand, full executive access. She didn't even blink. Send it over, she said. She signed without reading it. I was no longer just the tech guy. I was her spine now, her skeleton. She just didn't know I'd hollowed it out. 6 months after the gala, Jenna was back on top, or close enough to pretend she was. She had rebuilt her following, filtered her feed to control the narrative, and started calling herself a phoenix in interviews. Her agency spun the collapse into a transformation arc. People love a comeback story, especially when it comes with good lighting and a discount code. But her smile was tight now, practiced. She didn't laugh the same way on camera, didn't speak with that same untouchable confidence. Every post was cautious, every word like a landmine she was scared to step on. Behind every curated photo was a quiet fear that something would collapse again. She lived on edge, and I kept her there. By now I had full access, not just technical, emotional. She told me things she didn't tell anyone else, about her guilt, about how hard it was to pretend all the time. She cried during our late-night calls sometimes, exhausted, broken, hollow. And I listened. I always listened. Because that was part of it. That was part of making someone dependent, not just on your skills, but on your silence, your presence, your power to understand them at their weakest and never use it against them. Until you do. The final stage of revenge is quiet. It's not the crash. It's the moment when they think they're safe again. That's when it matters. I started preparing long before she ever suspected. I backed up every message, every voice note, every contract, every email she sent while fragile, scattered, desperate. I recorded our calls. I cataloged her brand assets, audience reports, tax filings. Then I crafted the exit plan. The real one. I created a full mirror version of her digital life, a clone of her accounts, a twin of her website, her content, her style. I used an LLC I registered months earlier under a fake name. Built a faceless brand called Crown Layer, a minimalist digital consultancy that offered elite influencer rehabilitation and ethically engineered narratives. It was her business, minus the face. Then I began redirecting her leads. Gently, subtly, through ad traffic, rerouting, email delivery delays, API throttling. Clients who used to reach her stopped hearing back. Sponsors she hoped would re-engage started working with Crown Layer instead. She didn't notice it at first. She thought it was the algorithm. She thought it was burnout. She posted about being in a season of silence while watching her numbers shrink again. And I kept smiling. Then came the day I took it all. Her main site went blank at midnight. Every social post disappeared. Every follower count reset to 0. Her email went offline, her newsletter unsubscribed. Everyone, her digital identity, the empire she spent years building, vanished without a trace. She called me 37 times that night. I didn't answer. She came to my apartment the next morning, but I had moved out a week ago. I left no forwarding address, no trace, just an old laptop in a cardboard box on her porch, with a note taped to the screen. You said I was just the tech guy. Now I'm the one who decides if you exist. She tried everything. Lawyers, investigators, tech firms. Nothing helped. I had erased her from her own world and replaced her with something better, something colder, something more efficient. Crown Layer became a quiet powerhouse in the background of the industry. No face, no scandals, just clean, quiet control. Clients came in droves. They didn't know me. They didn't need to. I didn't need a spotlight. I already knew what it felt like to be invisible. That's what made the revenge perfect. It wasn't loud. It wasn't bloody. It was complete. And Jenna? She lives offline now. The last time I saw her, she was working the counter at a boutique skincare shop in a strip mall outside Santa Monica. No makeup, no lights, just a small name tag that said, Jenna C. She looked past me when I walked in, didn't recognize me. Or maybe she did and just couldn't face it. I didn't say anything. I bought a tiny jar of lavender cream, paid in cash, watched her hands tremble as she wrapped it. As I walked out, I glanced back. She stood behind the counter, shoulders slumped, staring at the screen on the register. And I smiled, because now she knew what it felt like to be useful, to be invisible, to be owned.